Welcome back, everyone, to Wisdom Unveiled. For this deep dive, we're going right to the heart of Iranian philosophy, exploring the words of Rumi himself. Maulana Jalaluddin Muhammad Balkhi. Yeah, the name might be a mouthful, but his wisdom is timeless. Now, just a quick heads up. We're working with translations of conversations from Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani from their series, Marefat. And with 40 episodes of these insightful discussions, we're focusing specifically on episode 26 for their thoughts about Rumi. Of course, translating poetry and mystical ideas can be tricky, so bear with us if some nuances get lost in translation. We're after the real gems of wisdom here.
It's striking how Dr. Larijani points out the paradox of Rumi's pen name, silence. For a poet whose words have echoed through centuries, that's a powerful statement.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Why would a poet, especially one as renowned as Rumi, choose a name that embodies the absence of words?
Dr. Dinani suggests it speaks to a deeper understanding of truth, a truth that transcends language. Rumi seemed to believe that true knowledge, that deep, intuitive knowing, isn't something you just grasp intellectually. It's something you experience, something you feel deep within your soul.
So it's not just about reading Rumi's poetry, but about letting his words awaken something within us, something that words can only point towards.
Precisely. And this idea of a deeper knowing beyond words ties directly into how Dr. Dinani frames one of Rumi's poems about the roots of sorrow in this world. He highlights two sources of sorrow: desires that remain unfulfilled, and obstacles that block our path.
So constantly chasing after what we lack,
Yeah.
or bumping into roadblocks, it's no wonder we experience sorrow. It's almost like Rumi is saying that this sense of frustration is woven into the very fabric of our existence. Think about it. Have you ever felt like you're giving it your all, but things just aren't falling into place?
And as Dr. Larijani points out, no one, no matter how fortunate or wise, escapes sorrow in a long life. It's a universal experience. Loss, disappointment, unmet desires, they're all part and parcel of living in this world.
If sorrow is so deeply ingrained in our human experience, how do we navigate this world without being constantly weighed down by it? Where do we even begin to find a solution?
Well, that's where Rumi's poetic solution comes in. He speaks about detaching from worldly sorrows to reach what he calls the garden of permanence, or Bhagabaka in Persian.
The Garden of Permanence. The name itself evokes a sense of tranquility. What does this garden symbolize?
Imagine a realm free from imperfections, a place where desires are fulfilled and obstacles simply don't exist. It's a place of wholeness and completion, where there's no striving, no sense of lack, no separation, and because there's no imperfection, there's no sorrow.
It sounds like a state of pure bliss and contentment. No wonder Rumi calls it the Garden of Permanence.
Indeed. And what's fascinating is that this concept of Bhagabaka has echoes of the Quranic idea of bakia, meaning abiding, a term often used to describe the afterlife.
So there's a connection between Rumi's mystical poetry and Islamic ideas of the afterlife. Is he suggesting that this Garden of Permanence is essentially paradise?
There are definitely parallels. You could compare Bhagabaka to the beauty and abundance described in the Quranic Jannah or paradise, but Rumi seems to be going beyond that, suggesting a state of permanence that transcends the limitations of a physical paradise. There's no change, no seasons, just pure, unchanging bliss.
I love how Rumi uses such vivid imagery to convey these complex spiritual ideas. It's poetry that speaks directly to the soul. But how do we reach this Garden of Permanence?
Rumi lays out a hierarchy of existence, starting with God as the source of all being. Below that, we have the universal intellect, followed by the soul. And finally, the physical realm, or nature.
Okay, so God, universal intellect, soul, and nature. How does understanding this hierarchy help us overcome sorrow and reach the Garden of Permanence?
The key is the soul's unique position. It acts as a bridge between the intellect and the physical world. This means we can choose to ascend towards the divine, or descend towards the material, towards those desires and attachments that ultimately lead to sorrow.
It sounds like we have a choice. Get caught up in the fleeting pleasures and sorrows of this world, or cultivate our intellect and soul to reach a higher state of being.
Exactly. And Rumi offers guidance on how to make that ascent. He writes, "Take 2 steps forward from the abode of desires, you'll descend into the sanctuary of majesty." He frames this as a journey, a deliberate movement away from desire towards a more fulfilling state of being.
2 steps forward from the abode of desires. I'm intrigued. What are these 2 steps that lead us away from desire and towards this sanctuary?
Firstly, we need to recognize the endless cycle of desires. Fulfilling one often leads to another, without ever truly satisfying us. Secondly, detachment from those worldly desires through intellectual reflection is crucial. It's about using our intellect to understand the temporary nature of those desires and shifting our focus to something more lasting.
So it's not about suppressing our desires, but understanding them, seeing them for what they are. It's that shift in perspective that allows us to detach and move towards that sanctuary.
Precisely. Dr. Larijani highlights the word muwa that Rumi uses. It means finding peace and solace, a state where anxieties and worries no longer have a grip on us. That's what true detachment offers.
That's a powerful image. It's not just about escaping sorrow. It's about finding genuine peace and contentment. But how do we cultivate that sense of muwa in our lives? What steps can we take to find that inner peace?
Dr. Dinani emphasizes the crucial role of the intellect. He argues that without cultivating our intellect, even reaching the realm of desires will only lead to more confusion and sorrow. We'd be lost in a sea of wants and cravings, never finding true fulfillment.
So the intellect acts as a guide, helping us navigate the world of desires and make choices that lead to genuine happiness, not just fleeting pleasure. But what about willpower? Doesn't that play a role in overcoming those desires?
Willpower is undoubtedly important, but Dr. Dinani argues that without intellectual grounding, it's like a powerful engine without a skilled driver. It has potential, but might end up going in circles or crashing. We need both the will to change and the understanding of why and what we are aiming for.
That's such a clear analogy. It's not just about wanting to change, but about understanding the change we seek. The intellect provides the direction and clarity we need.
Exactly. Dr. Dinani offers another analogy to illustrate this point. He says that two rational people can debate and eventually reach an agreement, but two clashing wills will only lead to conflict and frustration.
It's about aligning our will with a higher purpose, not just forcing ourselves to change.
And to emphasize the importance of self-knowledge and understanding, Rumi asks a provocative question in another verse. The jewel within the ocean of meaning, you can determine its worth if you reflect deeply.
The jewel within the ocean of meaning. Such beautiful imagery. What's Rumi referring to here?
Dr. Larijani points out the irony that we're often experts at assessing the value of material things, but completely clueless when it comes to the worth of our own being. We chase external validation and possessions, neglecting to cultivate that inner jewel.
So it's a call to introspection. Rumi is prompting us to look inward and ask, what is the worth of a human soul? What would I sacrifice for it? What truly matters?
It's about aligning our actions and choices with the inherent value and potential of our own being. Dr. Larijani connects this to the Quranic concept of hakatakatuhu. Truly knowing yourself is the essence of righteousness. It's not just intellectual understanding, it's about living in alignment with our true nature. But how do we even begin to know ourselves in this deep, profound way?
That's where Rumi's powerful metaphor of the seven-headed dragon comes in.
Yes. It represents the nafsi amara, our base desires. The seven heads are our five senses, plus harmful imagination and delusion. These are the pathways that can lead us towards what Rumi calls hellish states, where we're constantly chasing fleeting pleasures and succumbing to negative thoughts and emotions.
It's easy to see how these unchecked desires could lead to suffering.
So the seven-headed dragon represents those internal forces pulling us away from our true nature and the peace and contentment that Rumi describes.
What's the antidote to this dragon? How do we overcome these negative influences?
Rumi contrasts the seven heads of the dragon with the 8 gates of paradise. Intellect is the 8th gate. Cultivating our intellect unlocks true bliss and closes off the hellish paths represented by the dragon's heads.
It's about using our intellect to discern between what's truly beneficial and what's harmful, between desires that lead to fulfillment and those that lead to suffering. What practical steps can we take to strengthen our intellect and choose wisely?
That's an excellent question, and one that Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani explore in depth. They suggest that engaging in practices like deep reflection, contemplation, and study can help refine our intellect. It's about training our minds to see beyond the surface, to analyze and discern, to choose wisely.
It's fascinating how these concepts connect back to Rumi's pen name, silence. It's not just about being quiet, it's about cultivating an inner stillness that allows our intellect to flourish.
Exactly. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of Rumi's teachings, the concept of love. Not the romantic love we often see portrayed, but a far grander, more universal love.
Rumi and love. It's an association as classic as peanut butter and jelly, But you're saying there's more to it than meets the eye.
Absolutely. Dr. Larijani beautifully describes it as an all-pervading force, a cosmic principle that binds all of creation together. He connects it to the concept of agape in Greek philosophy, that unconditional love that transcends all boundaries and limitations.
Unconditional love, embracing everything and everyone, it sounds beautiful, but incredibly challenging to cultivate in a world that often feels so divided.
It is a challenge. But Dr. Dinani suggests it starts with ourselves. It's about cultivating self-love, self-acceptance, and self-compassion.
All right, that classic saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
If we're constantly judging and criticizing ourselves, how can we possibly offer genuine love and acceptance to others?
Precisely. And Dr. Larijani builds on this, emphasizing that self-love isn't just about feeling good about ourselves. It's about taking responsibility for our well-being, our growth, our development. It's about recognizing our worth and actively nurturing our physical, emotional, and spiritual health.
So it's not selfish or narcissistic. It's about honoring ourselves so we can truly show up for others.
Exactly. And Dr. Dinani believes that as we cultivate genuine self-love, we naturally become more capable of extending that love outwards, to others, to all beings.
It's like a ripple effect. The love we cultivate within ourselves radiates outwards, touching and transforming everything it encounters.
A beautiful image, isn't it? And that speaks to the transformative power of Rumi's teachings. He invites us to experience life more fully, to connect with the divine spark within us, and all around us.
It's amazing how a 13th century poet can still offer such relevant and powerful guidance for navigating the complexities of the 21st century.
It is, and Dr. Larijani reminds us that Rumi wasn't just a poet lost in lofty thoughts. He was a scholar, a jurist, a teacher, deeply engaged in the world, working to alleviate suffering and build a more just and compassionate society.
So for Rumi, it wasn't just about personal transformation. He was actively putting his principles into practice, making a real difference in the world around him. It makes his teachings feel so much more tangible and applicable.
Absolutely. Dr. Dinani emphasizes that engaging with the world is essential on the path to Marifat. Contemplating the divine isn't enough. We must also embody that divine love in our actions, interactions, and how we live our lives.
Taking Rumi's teachings off the page and into the streets, letting his words inspire us to act differently, to be different in the world. Are there any specific examples from Rumi's life that illustrate this principle of embodied action?
Dr. Larijani shares a powerful story about Rumi's constant thirst for learning. Despite his vast knowledge and spiritual insight, he never stopped seeking out new perspectives, new ways of understanding the world.
It's not about reaching a final destination where we know everything. It's about embracing the journey of lifelong learning and growth.
Precisely. Dr. Dinani highlights this willingness to learn and grow as essential for cultivating Marifat. It's about letting go of the need to be right and embracing the humility of a beginner's mind.
I love that, the beginner's mind. Approaching each moment with fresh eyes, curiosity and wonder. It makes me think of children, how they see the world with such openness and awe.
And Dr. Larijani shares a perfect story to illustrate this. A learned scholar once came to Rumi seeking knowledge. But before sharing any wisdom, Rumi asked the scholar to empty his cup so it could be filled with new teachings.
That's a powerful metaphor. Letting go of preconceived notions and attachments to old ways of thinking, to be open to something new and transformative.
Exactly. It reminds us that true learning requires a willingness to let go of what we think we know, to step outside our comfort zones, and embrace the unknown. Dr. Dinani suggests this emptying of the cup is a lifelong practice, constantly questioning our assumptions, challenging our beliefs, and expanding our understanding of ourselves and the world.
It makes you realize how easy it is to get stuck in our limited perspectives, clinging to beliefs and ideas that no longer serve us. How do we cultivate this openness to new experiences and ways of thinking? What practices did Rumi emphasize?
Dr. Larijani highlights the importance of cultivating silence, creating space for new insights to emerge.
Silence. We talked about that earlier with Rumi's pen name. But how does silence actually help us learn and grow?
Dr. Dinani describes silence as the fertile ground from which wisdom can sprout. When we quiet the chatter of our minds, when we make space for stillness and contemplation, we open ourselves up to deeper insights that are often drowned out by the noise of daily life.
It reminds me of that saying, be still and know that I am God. Finding that inner quietude where we connect with something larger than ourselves.
Exactly. And Dr. Larijani adds that silence isn't just the absence of external noise, it's about cultivating inner quietude, a peacefulness, a way of being present with ourselves without judgment or distraction.
So it's not just about turning off the TV and putting away our phones. It's about creating a space of inner stillness. that allows us to connect with our true selves, with the divine spark within.
Precisely. And Dr. Dinani points out that this practice of silence isn't just about personal transformation. It has profound implications for creating a more peaceful and harmonious world.
That makes sense. If we can cultivate inner peace and stillness, we're less likely to react to the world with anger, fear, or aggression. It's like that ripple effect again. The peace we cultivate within ourselves radiates outwards, impacting the world around us. But how do we actually put this into practice? In our busy, noisy world, finding true silence can feel impossible.
Dr. Dinani and Dr. Lariani suggest starting small. Even just a few minutes of dedicated quiet time each day can make a difference. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and simply focus on your breath. As thoughts arise, acknowledge them gently, and let them go, returning your attention to your breath. Over time, you'll find it easier to access that inner stillness, even amidst the chaos of daily life.
It sounds like a practice of gradually training our attention, like a muscle we can strengthen over time. But silence isn't the only practice Rumi emphasized, right? Dr. Larijani also mentioned cultivating a sense of wonder and awe.
Yes, Dr. Dinani describes wonder and awe as antidotes to cynicism and despair. He suggests that when we allow ourselves to be filled with wonder, we reconnect with a sense of possibility, a belief in the goodness of life, something that can easily get lost amidst the challenges of adulthood.
It's like when we get bogged down in negativity, we forget to see the beauty and magic that's all around us. We lose that childlike sense of awe and wonder.
Exactly. Dr. Larijani adds that wonder and awe allow us to approach life with curiosity, to appreciate the mystery and majesty of creation, to reconnect with the divine spark within us and all around us.
It's not about denying the pain and suffering that exist, but about choosing to also focus on the beauty, the love, the interconnectedness that's equally present. It's about expanding our perspective, to see the bigger picture.
And to illustrate this, Dr. Larijani shares a wonderful story about Rumi. Interacting with a group of children playing hide and seek, Rumi asked them, "What are you doing?" They replied, "We're playing hide and seek."
I can just imagine Rumi's playful wisdom emerging here. What did he say in response?
He simply smiled and said, "You're not playing hide and seek, you're playing find and seek."
Find and seek. It's a subtle but powerful shift in perspective. What was Rumi getting at with that statement?
Dr. Dinani suggests Rumi was hinting at a deeper truth, that the divine isn't hidden from us. We're the ones hiding from it. It's not about searching for something outside ourselves, but about realizing the divine presence that already exists within, waiting to be discovered.
It's like we're playing a cosmic game of hide and seek, but we're both the seeker and the hider.
Exactly. And Dr. Larijani adds that this process of find and seek is a lifelong journey, peeling back the layers of conditioning beliefs, fears, and doubts that obscure our true nature. It's about remembering who we truly are, divine beings, sparks of that infinite light. But how do we uncover that divine spark within? What can help us remember who we truly are?
It's a question that has echoed through the ages. What practices did Rumi recommend for this unveiling of the true self?
Dr. Dinani mentions practices like meditation, prayer chanting, spending time in nature, engaging in acts of kindness and compassion. All these can help us connect with our true selves, with that source of love and wisdom residing within each of us.
It's about finding what resonates with us, what helps us reconnect with the peace, love, and connection that Rumi's teachings point towards. But the journey isn't always easy, is it? There are times when fear, doubt, and attachment can hold us back.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another crucial aspect Dr. Larijani highlights, the importance of letting go of attachments.
Attachments. I have a feeling this is where things get really challenging.
That way.
What kind of attachments are we talking about here?
Anything we cling to, anything we identify with, anything we believe defines us. This could be material possessions, ideas of who we are, our roles and status in society, even our beliefs and opinions.
It's about recognizing that our true nature goes beyond all those labels, roles, and possessions, finding our identity in something deeper, more essential. But letting go can be so difficult. How do we even begin to loosen the grip of these attachments?
Dr. Dinani reminds us that letting go of attachments isn't about denying ourselves pleasure or living a life of deprivation. It's about recognizing the impermanence of all things, the fleeting nature of experience, and choosing to focus on what truly matters. He uses a beautiful analogy, that of a lotus flower.
A lotus flower. How does that connect to letting go of attachments?
The lotus is rooted in mud but rises above it, its beauty unstained by its surroundings. In the same way, we can be in the world, enjoying its pleasures and experiences, without being attached to them. We can recognize their impermanence and choose to focus on cultivating the beauty and purity of our inner being.
It's a powerful reminder that we are not defined by our circumstances or possessions. Our true essence is something far greater, something that transcends the ups and downs of life. But how do we cultivate that sense of inner strength and detachment amidst the chaos of the world around us?
Dr. Tanani and Dr. Larijani emphasize the importance of integrating these teachings into our daily lives. It's not enough to just read Rumi's poetry or listen to podcasts like this. We need to put these principles into practice, to embody them in our thoughts, words, and actions.
So it's about making conscious choices that align with these teachings, choosing love over fear, generosity over greed, connection over isolation. It's about letting Rumi's wisdom guide us as we navigate the complexities of life.
Exactly. And remember, the journey is ongoing. There will be times when we stumble, when we fall back into old patterns of thinking and behaving. But the key is to keep practicing, keep learning, keep growing, to keep returning to Rumi's words for inspiration and guidance.
This has been a truly illuminating deep dive into Rumi's world. We've explored so many profound themes, and I feel like I've gained a deeper understanding of his teachings and how they can be applied to my own life.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you. And to our listeners, I encourage you to continue exploring Rumi's wisdom. Dive into his poetry, his teachings, and let his words guide you on your own journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth.
Thank you for joining us on Wisdom Unveiled. Until next time, may you find peace, love, and wonder in every moment.